Hello guys, welcome to Alasdair Aquatics. I hope you're doing well. I'll jump right into it. I've got an axolotl. Okay, I've actually had it for a few weeks now. I've been keeping it on the down low from you guys. And a question I'm sure a lot of you are wondering is, why did I get rid of the Aquascape that I had previously with the tropical fish? And the answer to that question is, over the course of a few months, I started to fall out of love with the Aquascape. That combined with the fact that I was battling some algae issues. I was getting a lot of green hair algae on the plants and on the hardscape, and I put this down to the fact that I had a lack of fast growing plants and a lack of stem plants in the tank. So I ended up losing that battle with the algae. All my plants were quite slow growing and it didn't end up working out. So I rehomed the fish, some of which went to my girlfriend and some of which went to a friend, and I can assure you they're in the best of hands and are doing well. So I got an axolotl. One of the main things to sort of note about the difference in care between tropical fish and an axolotl is axolotls like cool water. Okay, they don't really tolerate anything above sort of 22 degrees and definitely not above 25 degrees. So really you're going to want to keep the temperature around sort of 16, 18 degrees, something like that. So they like cold water. They also don't like lots of bright light, and if you do have a light on the aquarium, it's good to give them spaces to get away from that light. So I've tried to make a sort of cave in the middle here with this driftwood and rock, and I did try out some floating plants, but they didn't work very well. They ended up being constantly blown under the water by the outlet of the filter, so I ended up removing them. But what I have done in the meantime is add in 2 tiger lotus plants, which will eventually grow stalks up to the top, and we'll have some big sort of lily pads, lily pad like leaves floating on the top to provide a bit more shade for him. Another thing is, with an axolotl you can't have gravel on the bottom of the fish tank. The way they eat their food is they sort of quickly suck in anything that's near them, and they could quite easily ingest some gravel, which could get lodged in their intestine or in their stomach and could be fatal in some cases. So a lot of axolotl keepers either keep their axolotls in a bare bottom tank or with very fine sand. I'd read up quite a bit online, and some people were saying that when you keep them on bare bottom tanks they get a bit stressed out because they can't grip the bottom of the tank. And I went with sand as well because I thought it just looks a bit better as well. So what I've done for him when it's feeding time, is I've got a small glass dish here. So I just put the frozen bloodworm into that glass dish, and that hopefully removes the chance of him eating too much sand for now. And at the moment he is just eating frozen bloodworm. I do have some axolotl pellets, and we'll be trying some other things in the future, but at the moment, because he's so small, even these small axolotl pellets, they're too big for him. He'll eat them and then just spit them out straight away. So the only thing he's able to sort of eat, which is small enough, are frozen bloodworms. And he's doing great. I think he's grown quite a bit in the last 2 weeks, if I'm honest with you. He's doing well, he's looking great. He looks like he's got a full belly, which is quite nice for me to see. And I'm really happy with the look of this tank. It's quite different to having a tank filled with fish. He's more of a pet, just one thing in the tank. For those of you wondering, I have called him Toothless. Now I'm going to answer the question, why an axolotl? Well, if I'm honest with you, I'd been aware of axolotls for the past 10 years or so. I'd see them occasionally in local fish shops, and I just sort of walk straight past them. It seemed to be the only colour of axolotl I'd see would be some of the white varieties, things like the leucistic and the albino varieties, and they just weren't for me. They didn't do it for me. I just sort of walked straight past them. I thought they looked like quite a lot of effort, and it wasn't until I recently saw some small young wild type axolotls I thought, I didn't know they came in that colour. I thought they were always white. And I did some more research, and it turns out there's a whole array of different colours and variations you can get axolotls in, varying from wild type to leucistic to albino to melanistic, copper, and a whole bunch of other sort of slightly rarer variations as well. And immediately when I saw the black melanistic axolotls, I fell in love. I thought they looked really cool and got in contact with their local breeder, and luckily enough they had one available, and I picked him up, and he's doing great in the tank. Really cool addition to my sort of now large collection of animals. Yeah, he's been really sort of really fun thing to have in my room. Surprisingly cute. When they're fully grown though, they will reach a size of around 12 inches, which is probably surprising quite a lot of you. They do get quite big. My research online had shown that a minimum tank size for one adult axolotl is 10 US gallons, around that. I thought that was maybe a bit on the small side. Some websites advise somewhere near 20 gallons for one adult axolotl, and that's what I went with. I went on a sort of the bigger tank the better in my head. So I went for just converting this aquarium into an axolotl aquarium. So I just took the heater out, kept the same light and filter attached, and added a fan to keep the water as cool as possible. So this tank's about 18.5 US gallons, I think, which should be fine for him even when he's an adult. They're not very active. When they do reach adulthood, they're quite sort of slow. They're not very active. They'll just spend a lot of their time standing there or slowly moving about, apart from when it comes to, say, feeding. But yeah, they're quite cool, funny, interesting creatures. With surprisingly a lot of personality. So what I'll do now is I'll give you guys a closer look at my axolotl, toothless, and I hope you enjoy. Okay, so what you've just seen me do is tongue feed Toothless. It took me a few days, but now he eats bloodworms out the tongue, which I did do for a while. And now what I do is I also leave some bloodworms in that glass dish. There are a few bloodworms I accidentally put on the sand bed, so I will move them into the dish. Just whilst he's small, because of his size, I still really wouldn't want him ingesting too much fine sand, although it is safe for them as adults. Just to be on the safe side, I'll have him feed from the glass dish. So once I finish recording this little bit, I'll pick up those few bloodworms and I'll move them into the dish. It is quite funny watching him trying to search for the food. It takes him a little while, but eventually he finds it. But as you can see, he's a really ferocious eater and quite fun to feed with the tongs. So I like to feed him like that most days, and then I'll also leave him some bloodworm just for him to find throughout the next sort of few hours. Okay guys, so we come to the end of the video. I do hope you've enjoyed this one. I hope you enjoyed meeting my new pet axolotl, Toothless. As you can see, he's doing great. We are experiencing a heat wave here in the UK. It's been about 25 degrees today, which it very rarely gets to. And tomorrow it's expected to be about 32 degrees Celsius, which, yeah, pretty unheard of here in the UK. So I'm trying my best to keep this guy's tank cool. He's not in any direct sunlight, and I am having the fan on for quite a long period of time throughout the day to try and keep it cool, which is a struggle. I have seen certain people online use chillers for their axolotl tanks, which might be something that I need to look into in the future. But I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you liked seeing his setup. Maybe you learned something about axolotls that you didn't know before, and I hope you've enjoyed this one. So if you have enjoyed it, please remember to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Do you have an axolotl? Have you got any tips for me? I don't pretend to be a complete expert on these. I've only had them a few weeks. I've done quite a bit of research, but I'm still a relative beginner myself. But I hope you've enjoyed this video, and until next time guys, it's bye for now, and it's bye from Toothless. Have a good one.